Welcome to Virtual Global Leadership Podcast. Today we have a fantastic guest, Juliana Rabbi, a career coach and former recruiter with over 15 years of experience. She has been a remote worker since 2014 and it transformed her life, giving her flexibility, financial security, and motivation she never imagined. Juliana is on a mission to help professionals achieve their goals, focusing on growth, flexibility, purpose, fair compensation, and time management. When you work with her, expect to accelerate professional growth, present your best self on LinkedIn and in your resume, implement a proven methodology to land a remote job, master interview preparation, and salary negotiation. Juliana's expertise extends to those considering international careers, feeling lost about their next steps, or seeking remote jobs for a flexible lifestyle. So, if you're open to online coaching and can communicate in English, Spanish, or Portuguese, she is here for you. Juliana's qualifications are impressive, with a degree in psychology, a master's in human resources, and a wealth of coaching and mentoring experience. Her energy is infectious, and she brings in a bit of a Copacabana beach to her work. She's an avid traveler, having visited 56 countries while working remotely. Join us today to discover Juliana's insight and how she can help you achieve the career and lifestyle you desire. Welcome, Juliana. How are you?
This was a very nice introduction. Thank you. Thank you for that.
So,
I'm happy to be here. Yeah, very excited to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
you're welcome, Juliana. So, I just wanted to know, how did you first get started in the field of career development coaching?
Yeah, I have been into this career environment for many years, right? Because I studied psychology and then I worked for 15 years as a recruiter. So pretty much my whole professional life was around career jobs, helping people to land jobs. So I have been done that professionally since I started working, actually. I worked many years as a recruiter. And at some point, I wanted to have more flexibility in my life. So I was trying to figure it out my next career step, right? What I was going to do next. And out of many options that I had, I chose to have my own business and career mentor. Okay. Can you
Okay.
see me? I think there was
Yeah, there
some
was a lag.
pause on the video. Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
we are back. Yep, we are back. Yeah. Okay.
So very much I
Can you hear
understood,
me well?
like, yes, I can hear you now.
Ah,
Okay. So, what are
okay,
some of
okay.
the
Yes. So the career coach, the career coach was just a choice after being working for many years as a recruiter. And I decided to keep helping people to land jobs, to be happy with their career and all of that, but from a different perspective, from the coaching perspective.
Okay. So what are some of the common challenges that individual face when it comes to career development, and how do you address them?
Well, many challenges actually, because this is the kind of conversation I have every day with people from different countries, nationalities, people in different moments of their career. So there are many, many challenges, but one of them would be lack of clarity. So sometimes people know that they are unhappy where they are. They don't like their current job, their career, they feel stuck, but they don't know what to do next. So this feeling that I need a change, but I don't know what to do next, that can be very, you can be paralyzed with that because you feel you need a move, but you don't know where to go, you feel lost and all of that. So this is a common challenge. Understand what is the next step you want to make in your career. Also, some people feel ashamed of even considering a career change because there is this idea that we should know before. We should know when we are 18 and then we change, the university degree, the technical course we're going to do. And then if we change the path, it feels for some people like it's a failure. I should have chosen something different before. Now I'm too old for that. I need to start again. So there's a lot of shame involved, which doesn't help at all. Definitely, right? So people take a long time to even verbalize that they want to change career because they try to hide it from themselves, which really doesn't help. And also trying to do it all alone, this feeling that I need to figure it out my career, I need to find a way on my own. And some people can. And in some moments of life, we can do that alone. But if we ask for help, um, we are going to achieve better results. And yeah, we're going to get to the next step of our career faster. So trying to do it all alone can be also a problem, another challenge.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So there say in one scenario there are industry leaders who have worked for about 10, 15 years now, and now they want to, let's say, move to a remote remote work. They want to adopt remote working as their, let's say, career choice or lifestyle choices. So why do they hesitate, and how you can help them?
I see people hesitating for different reasons. One reason is that even if they don't like their current job, they feel that it's secure because they are already familiar with that. They are used to the benefits they have, the salary, and all of that. So there is this element of fear because they're going to change to something new. And every time you change, there is this, I don't know if it's going to work out. I don't know if it's stable or not. So there's a bit of fear, which is normal, but sometimes it paralyzes and it stops you from making the change that you want. So fear, we need to embrace it, but don't stop making the career moves we want, because otherwise we remain the same job forever, even if we are unhappy, even if we are not making enough money, because we are afraid of change, right? Another thing that I see is that with all the changes that are happening in the job market recently, people are a bit hesitant to make a move to remote work right now. And by the change in the market, I mean, for example, the layoffs that we see in a lot of tech companies, right? Even remote companies, they are firing a lot of people. That can feel a bit scary. And also companies that were embracing remote work during the pandemic now are forcing employees to go back to their office. So those two elements can make someone that is not working remotely yet feels a bit like reluctant about making this step or not. The way I can help my clients with that is to first understand the lifestyle they want to have and why they want a remote job, why they want a more flexible life, right? What they want their life to look like, and then we find a job that supports that. So, for example, if you want to be able to pick up your kids at school and have lunch with them, you don't need a remote job that allows you to work from anywhere in the world, right? This level of flexibility, you don't need that. You can have a remote job that allows you to work from home. That should be enough for you. So we narrow down the search and we can go to companies that offer exactly what you're looking for, and your job search strategy is more specific to those companies. So you don't focus in all the remote companies out there. You're narrowing down to the ones that offer the lifestyle and the conditions you want to have. This is one thing that I help my clients with. Also to understand the non-negotiable aspects for them, right? What is the minimum salary they are looking for? What is the kind of job they want to make, the tasks they want to do, the work environment? Do they want to work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5? Do they want to have a flexible working hours schedule? So all those things I help them to understand. And then when they go for the job search, they know what they are searching for. So there is a higher chance they will find, because if you don't know what you're searching for, you're never going to find it, right? And people say, I want a remote job, but where is it? Not where is it? What is it? What is a
Yeah.
remote job? Because it can be so many things, right? Behind the name remote. So I help them to get more clarity in the process, understand what they're going for, and then I help them with my tested methodology that I created to help my clients to land remote jobs faster. So I implemented that with several people already from different countries, different nationality. I know it works because it helped them. So I have a process, I have a way to achieve results faster. That's how I help my clients to land remote jobs.
Thank you for sharing that. What are some of the key elements that should be included in an effective resume? Can you share your thoughts there?
About the resume, okay. Yeah, the resume, I evaluated more than 20,000 resumes, because think about it. I was working as a recruiter for 15 years. So every single day I was receiving resumes, screening them, interviewing candidates. So I'm saying 20,000, but probably was even more than that. So a lot of mistakes, common mistakes that I see. So One of them is using the same resume to apply for every single job, right? You don't tailor, you don't make it just the same one, that file you created like 5 years ago, you still use that to apply to every resume. Why is that not effective? Because even if you're applying for the same position in different companies, let's imagine you want to work as a project manager in 5 or 6 different companies. You might think it's the same position. I know, but the requirements for each company will be slightly different. The tasks you're going to do, I don't know, the level of experience, the certification, all of that. So you need to make those small adjustments so there is a better match between your resume and the company, the job description, all of that. So mistake number one would be definitely only have one resume that you apply for all the jobs. That's very little effective, not effective at all. Um, Another mistake in the resume is that you don't mention that you have remote work experience in case you do. So let's imagine that during the pandemic, you worked remotely for 1 year, for 6 months, for 2 years,
Yeah.
whatever. For 1 month, 1 month, it's okay. But you don't mention that in your resume because you think like, oh, my contract was not a remote contract. So I cannot mention. You can mention and you should mention because someone that worked remotely, even for 1 month, demonstrate that you're more prepared to work remotely than someone that never worked remotely. So don't worry about in my contract, it's not written that it's a remote position. But if you ever work remotely, make sure you mention that clear in your resume. Also, the IT tools that you are using, like, I don't know, Trello, Asana, Slack, any kind of communication tool or remote work tool that you're using, make sure you mention that because that's another way to demonstrate I am familiar with the way people work in this environment. So if you have any kind of remote work experience, make sure you mention that on the resume. Another mistake, Sagar, is that job seekers tend to list all the tasks they did in every job. So every job occupies like half page of the resume because they list
Hmm.
everything, and it's not the point. So recruiters and hiring managers, they don't care about the tasks you did. What they care is, do you have the skills to solve the problems that we have in our company? So we have the requirements in the job description. You should demonstrate in your resume that you know how to solve those problems, that you know how to deal with that. So instead of describing tasks, the emphasis should be in achievements, in positive results that you had in the past that benefited the company, the client, the industry, that you saved money, saved the budget, that you uh, impress the client, that you increase the sales, this kind of thing. Results over task. That's something that very few job seekers do. Just to name a few, I have even an online course teaching people how to write resumes for remote jobs because there are so many mistakes. So we could spend the whole life talking about it. There are plenty of mistakes actually.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, thank you, Joanna, for sharing that. That's a very good beginning. I think that gives a lot of food for thought to think and plan. I have a slightly different question here for you. So
Mm,
while it's absolutely correct that if we are applying to different jobs, and it all the resumes have to be tailor made based on the roles. But while someone is drafting it, there could be a possibility that the person who is drafting might think, okay, this is me and this is not me. um, there is this, because uh, someone who is really sincere about getting the right job, he or she will try and put themselves like who they are. Whereas on the other side there are people who might just write anything. But here, how to avoid that dilemma of putting yourself correctly? That is something that
yeah,
I want to learn.
yeah, and it's not about lying in the resume because some people might think like, oh, because the job description is requesting this thing, I don't have it, but I'm going to mention in my resume that I have just to move ahead in the process. That's not what I recommend my clients to do, because if you lie in the resume, like companies can even fire you later on and say, look, in the document you mentioned something that is not true. So it's not a good way to go, lying on the resume. I don't think we should lie to fit in a position. We should first of all evaluate if it makes sense, if I'm interested in that position, if I want to do that job, if I want to work for that company, if there is a culture fit alignment. And if I do, Then of course I'm going to use my resume, my LinkedIn profile, my networking skills, my interview skills, all of that to show the best version of myself. But it's not about lying to try to fit into a position that you don't have the experience, you know. And on the other side, it's not about making yourself small, because some people are like, I don't want to show off in my resume. So if I say that, I don't know, I received an award as the best salesperson in my department, it looks like I'm, you know, taking too much, I don't know, glory to myself, or I'm putting myself in a pedestal. It's not that. The resume is the place to show your achievements, the positive things you did in your career. So there is this line between putting yourself below because you don't want to show off, but you're not showing off. It's the resume, it's the right place to do it. And lying to try to fit into a position with requirements that you don't have. So there is a fine line between that. And I don't think you need to meet 100% of the requirements to apply for the job. Just to make this clear, Saga, that's not what I'm talking about. In my experience, if you meet 70% of the job requirements, you're more than fine to go and apply, because companies will probably train you for the job, or they should, at least, right? In the onboarding process, there should be some training from their side. And from your perspective as a job seeker, you should leave some space for learning and growth, right? If you
Yeah,
start a new job but you know everything already, it's exactly what you have done in the previous job, you will probably get bored very soon. So leave some space for learning, for
mhm,
improving. And if you meet like 70% of the requirements, you should be fine to apply for the job already.
perfect. Perfect. Thank you, Juliana, for sharing such a practical perspective on this. So what is the difference between a LinkedIn profile and a resume? I know this is a very common question, but with respect to remote work, this is important. Like how do one, let's say, create a right context on LinkedIn profile and resume? Because HR heads or talent acquisition heads are going to check both of them anyways. So please share your thoughts there.
Yeah. I always tell my clients that whatever you mention in one thing, like in your resume, should be the same information on your LinkedIn and vice versa. So be very careful with dates. Sometimes you put like you start a job in March 2020, and then on your resume, and then on LinkedIn, you put June. So, it shouldn't be different dates for the same position. So make sure that the dates are the same. Make sure that the job title is the same. You cannot be a project manager in your resume and then a project assistant on LinkedIn. It's like you are lying in any of them. So make sure that the information is aligned, and also understand that the resume and LinkedIn, they serve different purpose. As you
Hmm.
said very correctly, recruiters will check both. So it doesn't really matter if they found you on LinkedIn and then they're going to ask for your resume. So they started on LinkedIn, but the resume will need to, be sent at some point. Or you apply for a job, and then once they receive your resume, they will check it on LinkedIn. So it doesn't really matter where you started the process. Recruiters will check both. But the visibility you have on LinkedIn is much broader, right? Right now that we are having this live, people can be checking your profile, people can be checking my LinkedIn profile. We cannot control, right? I like to say that LinkedIn is like a showcase that is open 24/7. So people can check it at any point. So make sure that whatever you put on LinkedIn, you're comfortable with that information be seen by your current manager if you're working, with your future manager if you're searching for a job, with people that will be your clients or your work colleagues. So if there is any kind of information that you want to share with your clients, you should be able to do that on LinkedIn, right? The resume is more narrowed down. It's like a sniper. It's specific for one company, for one position. So you can make it more tailored for that specific company. And LinkedIn, you're going to have a more like an overview of your career and your experience. But they definitely complement each other. And you shouldn't say different things on them, because then it's going to look like you're lying in one document or in the another.
Sure, sure. Juliana, as you rightly said, that a resume must have your achievements. So, what are the content that is more important and relevant for LinkedIn?
For LinkedIn, As a job seeker, you mean?
Yep, yep, yep.
As a job seeker, okay. Um, yeah, this is an interesting question because a lot of job seekers, they don't think that they need to create content. It's not something that they think about. They're like, I'm applying for jobs, I'm doing interviews, I'm approaching recruitment, but they don't. Some of them, right, don't really think that creating content is important. It can be very important because, first of all, not all the job seekers create that. So the fact that you are creating content already makes you stand out from the majority is already a positive differentiation for you, right? If you decide to create content, which I think could be a great thing, a great strategy as a job seeker to get visibility, make sure that your content is intentional. And what I mean by that is like, don't post about anything. Don't post about politics, about, I don't know, a car accident, about your dog, whatever. Be more intentional and post about things related to your career, related to your
Mm,
job. You can even talk about your achievements, as you mentioned before, right? Positive things, positive results you had in your previous job, in your current job. So narrow down to things that will help selling you as an expert in that area. So if you work as an English teacher, for example, talk about the different methodologies that you have to teach clients and to teach kids and adults, for example. Talk about a book that you read related to learning English as a teenager. Talk about an event that you attended for English teachers, international event. So talk about things that will show that you know about that topic, that will show your expertise, that add value to your audience. So people should read your post and think like, she's a good person to follow. I want to learn more. I want to be in contact with that person. So make your content relevant and use it as another selling point to you. So experiences, things you're learning about it, share a real example with a client, a situation at work, and what you learned out of it. And there is another way, Sagar, if you don't want to create the content from scratch, because that can be difficult, take a lot of time. And I know because I create content, so you do too, right? So we know how
yeah,
much
yeah.
of time and mental energy it takes. The easiest way to start working on your personal branding on LinkedIn is commenting posts, commenting. So you
Mm,
don't need to create the content from scratch. You need to identify interesting and relevant posts to comment. This is the first thing. Don't comment any post. Go for um, decision makers in the company that you want to work for, in the remote
mm,
company you want to work for, people working in the remote companies you want to work for, people who are influencers or famous
yep.
people related to your industry, and then you comment those posts. And the reason is that when you're talking about this topic, people who comment that post are interested in that topic, so you're narrowing down your audience to people who talk about the same thing, potentially recruiters who are also there trying to find the right people, your future hiring manager, the person that will decide between you or the other candidate. So talk to the right audience. Let's say metaphorically, be in the same table where those people are instead of table. Here's the post, right? So comment on the post that people in the companies you want to work for are comment or they're posting the content, and then make sure that what you write is good, is relevant, add value, and show that you know about that stuff.
Sure, sure. Thank you, Juliana. This really helps. Juliana, a lot of clients that you're working with, as I've learned, is that they are already have 10, 15 years of, corporate experience or a startup experience, right? Now they might have more than, let's say, three or four core skill sets. Okay. Since they are not freshers, they are highly experienced, they would have three, four at least, or maybe five core skill sets. Now, how they can narrow upon one or two specific skill set that they have to highlight while scouting a right remote work or remote role?
Who will define which skill set to highlight is the job description. Pretty much. It's not me, it's not the client, it is the job description. Because, as I said before, even if you're applying for the same job in different companies, every company you look for a slightly different kind of person, a slightly different skill set to hire, right? That's what they need in that company. So always check the job description, understand what is relevant for that position, for that company. You can check also the company's website. Sometimes they have like the values and they mention what they care about. Sometimes even the language they use on the website, you can understand if they are more, I don't know, younger people or more mature people, if they are like a startup full of energy or they are more consolidated company. So get as many clues as you want, but it's not from your brain. It's not like, oh, I think this is the skill set they're looking for. No, no, don't think, because there is a high chance you're going to make a mistake. So check facts, the job description. What are the skills that are listed there as a requirement? What do they say on the company's website? Back to the content that we were talking before. What this company posts is about? What are the main topics they are often talking about on LinkedIn, on social media, on YouTube, if they have a YouTube channel, whatever. So understand what is relevant for the company and then verify if you have those skills. And again, it's not about lying. It's about understand what they're looking for, checking if you have it, and if there is a match, then you highlight it in your resume, in your LinkedIn profile, and all of that. And a nice way to highlight is once you understand the skill set, instead of just listing it. So for example, a leadership skill, that's something that is very handy for a lot of companies. You know, some companies are looking for leaders, a team leader, people who will train the team, will handle a team and all of that. Instead of just saying in your resume, team leadership, management, which is just a word or a short expression, go some steps beyond and share a powerful example that demonstrate that you have leadership skills. So managing, for example, managing teams up to 20 people, virtually placed in 3 different continents. So you're given an idea about how many people you have handled. So it shows the complexity of what you're doing. You said you're handling them virtually or online, which is good for remote work, remote company. And you also said that your staff, your people were placed in 3 different countries. So probably you were handling different time zones, all issues related to communication. So this is way more powerful than just say team management. And that's a very common mistake that I see people make. So the skill set start with you evaluating your skill set, of course, but it doesn't stop there. Check what the company is looking for. The job description is a very good map for that. Then review what is the match, and then pick up powerful examples to confirm, to demonstrate that you have the skill set.
Mhm, mhm. Also, just a follow-up question there. Um, h- how do sometimes a lot of job descriptions may be overwhelming, and the person may feel, okay, this is the right direction, or this is the other one is the right direction, and then since uh, we are talking about folks who have already worked for many years, okay, and that to a remote transition. So how do you choose, or choose a particular path there?
If they want to make a career transition, you mean like people with a lot of years of experience, if they want to
Yeah,
go to remote
yeah,
work for the first time?
yeah. So they see a couple of
Yeah, that's
responsibilities, yeah, and then
uh,
they'll be like, okay, should I take this particular role, maybe a VP role, or should I take a head of a
mm,
marketing role? I don't know. So how do they evaluate? So that's yeah.
it will depend because every person has different goals in life, right? So some people, I have clients who tell me like, look, I don't care that much about the job title itself. What I want is the flexibility because I have been working in corporate for like years, and I get home like 9 p.m. I don't see my kids. I'm exhausted during the week. I do extra hours and all of that. So for them, they're more flexible regarding the job title itself. What they want is the flexibility, the culture,
Mm,
the environment, a nice team. So we are going to try to find remote companies that offer that, right? Other people, they are like, no, I want to make a progression in my career. I want to go remote, but also be promoted, make more money, and learn more. So for them, the job title, more responsibilities is important. So it's not up to me actually to decide that. What I do help my clients is to understand what is the priorities that they have, what are the non-negotiable aspects that they have. So what is a yes or yes thing? So some people would say, um, I need to work in a kind of company that has a lot of women, for example. I don't want to work. I have a client right now who shares that very often. I don't want to work only in a male dominant environment. So for her, this is a very important thing. So definitely since the beginning, even before applying for a company, we check the company's culture. Ideally, we network with people working there to feel a bit how is this gender balance into the institution and all of that. I have other people who say, I'm stuck in the same position for years. I need to go to this other position. I have the certifications. I have the knowledge. I just need the experience on it. So a career progression is the thing, right? The job title, more responsibility. So I always try to understand what makes sense to my clients and we adjust to it because as you said, when you have been uh, like in your career for 10, 20 years, it's not the same as you just left the university and you're more open to any experience, kind of anything is okay, any entry level job, I just want to get experience. After 20 years, 15 years of experience, you have more criterion. Probably you have financial commitments, right, with your family, with,
Mm.
I don't know, mortgage, a car that you're paying, whatever is it, you have a certain lifestyle that you want to
Mhm.
keep, right? That's fair. I have the same thing, so you don't want to go below that. So also the salary part is something that I like to talk about at the very beginning with my clients, so we don't waste time applying for jobs that pay less than what they're looking for. So there are a lot of aspects that we talk about at the beginning, but it changes. It varies from person. It's not everybody that has, like 20 years of experience want the same thing. No, I notice like different things depending on the moment they are facing, their personal life and in their career also.
Mhm. Thank you, Juliana, for sharing that. Now, one important and an interesting question that I have is how to write a really, really genuine cover letter, because that can be transformative. So, I just wanted your perspective there.
Okay. Cover letter is this funny topic that some people are like, I hate cover letter. That's a waste of time. Recruiters don't read that. And so there are some people that are very strong about that. And other people say, no, you should always write a cover letter because it's an extra thing and will make the difference. So I won't really position myself here. Okay, I'll let people decide what they want to do. But if they decide to write a cover letter, of course, it should be a powerful one, right? If you decide to go for it, then write one that will add value and will make a difference. So you don't just waste your time writing, something that is not relevant. Um, don't just copy and paste the information from your resume because you have the resume already. So it's not about I'm gonna copy this paragraph and this. No, it's not that. Don't waste your time doing that. What I suggest for the cover letter is first that it's short. So maximum 1 page. It's not a book. It's a letter. 1 page is more than enough. Try to make it very, very specific for that job because your resume, although you're going to tailor it, you're still talking about your career, the place you worked, and all of that. But the cover letter should be about that company specifically. So I even have a template of cover letter that I share with my clients. So basically, let me see if I remember everything that is there. Basically, you should mention some of the key requirements that are listed on the job description on the company website, like the main requirements that you're going to have for that job, and then share examples from your professional journey that demonstrate that you have that. So if they are looking for someone that is able to handle strict deadlines, for example, you can say, I noticed that you mentioned that on the job description. And in my previous job, I was, I had only 1 week to onboard a new client, write the contract, and deliver the first proposal to them. So I'm used to deliver with strict headlines and keeping the levels of the service and something like that. So you use the cover letter to share maybe 2 or 3 examples that confirm that you have the skills that they're looking for in the job description. This is one thing that you can do in the cover letter. Also, summarize your profile. So of course they can see all of that in your resume, in your LinkedIn profile, but maybe with bullet points, highlight 4, 5 key things that if the recruiter reads, it will be almost like check. Oh, I'm looking for this. Check. This candidate tab. I'm looking for that. Check. So make it very visual. Bullet points is an easy way to short and easy and very visual to understand that. And also, one thing that is a bit more advanced, but it's also interesting, is like put yourself on the company's shoes and imagine that you're already hired for that position. You're there, you passed the interview, they hired you. How can you help the company? So if you more than read the job description and you understand between lines, you understand like this is what this company expects
Mm,
from me if they hire me. This is the kind of problem I'm gonna deal with. This is the kind of environment. This is the situation in the market, in the industry. So you think bigger and you imagine yourself there already doing the job, and you can share that in the cover letter. So imagine that I had one client that he was applying for a position in Taiwan, right? And then he had a lot of experience in Asia already. He is Spanish, still alive. He's Spanish, but lived for many years in Asia. And then this position was asking for experience in the Spanish and the Asian market. So it was just like perfect for him. He got the job, by the way, spoiler. But back to the
wow.
cover letter, during the when he was writing the cover letter, he said, "I understand that you're expanding the operation to Asia, and I did something similar in my previous job. It was in another industry, but it was similar thing." So he was like, "If you hire me for this job, probably these are some of the problems you're gonna face." And then he listed some problems because he had to deal with that in his previous company. This is how I would solve those problems because I already did that in my company. So he also listed that. So he demonstrated that he understood the market, he understood the issues he was gonna have in the new job, and he had some possible solutions to do that. So this might not be accessible to everyone, especially if you are changing jobs, right? If you're going from one industry to the other one, you might not know deeply what is going on in the new industry, what are the issues. But if you do, if you're just going from office job to remote job, but you have all the knowledge in the industry in a similar position and all of that, this is something very good. You kind of anticipate problems that you're going to have once you start the position, and you talk about them and you offer some solutions up front. So you kind of take ownership of the position and you say, this is what I will suggest if you hire me. This is how I'm going to deal with that. So I see very few people, very few job seekers doing that. So it's a very interesting approach to the cover letter.
Thank you, Juliana, for sharing references and examples. It really helps. In fact, I think what is foremost is that how many problems you are solving and demonstration, and by taking one step ahead and stepping into the shoes of the organization. I think that's a wonderful idea. Thank you for sharing that. So, how does one prepare for the show time? That is the remote interview. Like, what are some of the tips you share with your clients when they are they get I mean, they learn that they are going to be interviewed soon?
Mhm. Again, I have to talk about the job description. So get the job description, read it at least 2 or 3 times to understand the requirements, to reflect on what you have. So don't improvise in interviews because some people say, "Oh, I have done already many interviews in my life. They went out well, so I don't need to prepare." There is never too much preparation for a job interview. If you care about the job, if you care about the company, I strongly recommend that you prepare for it. So one way to prepare is reading the job description and just understand like what they are looking for. What is the company's language? That's also interesting because there are different ways to talk about the same thing. The words, there are synonyms, right? But if you speak the company's language, it's easier for them to understand. Like my native language is not English, your native language is not English. We are speaking in English here because that's our common language. But if I speak to you in Portuguese, which is my mother tongue, you might not understand me, even if I'm saying the best thing or the correct answer to your question. So try to speak the company's language and use as much as possible like the same language that they use, the same yeah, try to adjust it to them so you share your message, what is true for you, by using their language that help the other person to understand you. So that's part of the preparation. Another thing is anticipate some possible questions that there is a high chance they will be asked to you, and rehearse the answer. So, for example, the classic, "Tell me about yourself." right? Super basic question. Probably all the job interviews start with this question. But then what I see, Saga, is that people are like, oh, I have answered this question so many times. I don't need to prepare for it. And then they go to the interview. They feel nervous. They don't know what to say. And they leave thinking like, oh, can't believe I messed it up. And then the rest of the interview, they're like, oh, struggling because they feel they mess it up at the beginning. And then that sets the tone for the interview and they feel terrible during the rest of the interview. So don't improvise, like take some time the day before, 2 days before the interview. Even write down. For some people, writing down helps. For other people, it's like speaking up out loud. Practice with a friend, with your partner, whatever. Hire a career coach to do a mock interview. I also do that with my clients. So, but practice that. Don't assume that you know just because you did interviews in the past. Okay, so rehearse for the most common interviews, or also questions that the most common interviews, not the most common interview questions. And also think about questions that could be asked to you specifically. For example, imagine that you have a career gap. Imagine that you had a kid and you took time off at work, for example, or you want to travel, or you were unemployed, you're trying to find a job you couldn't find. Whatever reason, you have 1 year career gap. Okay. um, there is high chance that recruiters will ask you about what happened, right, during that period, why you were not working, what were you doing. So instead of ignoring that or hoping that recruiters will not ask, do the opposite. Prepare yourself to be asked why you're not working for 1 year, even if it's a hard question. If it's a hard question to answer, probably recruiters have the question in their brain. So don't ignore that. Go with your gut feeling. If you feel like, I'm afraid they will ask why I was a manager before and now I'm applying for a junior position, I hope they don't ask. No, no, no. This is the wrong approach. The right approach is, if they ask, this is what I'm going to reply. So anticipate possible tricky, uncomfortable questions instead of crossing your fingers and hoping they won't ask. No, that's not the right
Yeah.
way to go. Prepare to answer difficult questions. That's how you increase the chance to pass the interview, right? So it's all about rehearse. And one more thing is back to the achievements that I mentioned before. Sorry, I'm repeating achievements, but this is a topic I mention
Yeah. Yeah.
almost every session I have with my clients, because job seekers, they normally focus on task. They describe what they did and nobody cares about what you did. We care about, I mean, companies, right? Recruiters care about results, positive impact. If you saved money, if you improved process, if clients were happy, if you were meeting the KPIs, this is what companies care about. So think about example before the interview and back to the interview preparation. Think about powerful examples that you can share during the interview to demonstrate that you have the skills they are looking for. So, for example, in the job description is mentioned, um, I don't know, able to handle difficult situations at work, for example. Think
Mm-hmm.
about one example, real example in your career, in your previous job, that you had to deal with a difficult situation at work. And then remember the details, organize that. There is even a star methodology that you can use to do that. But let's not go too much into details. But pick up some powerful examples that you can
Mm-hmm.
share during the interview that will confirm that you have the skills with a powerful example. And then just remember, I always suggest like 3 or 4 powerful examples that you can, it's almost like you have them in your bag, and then the recruiter asks you, open your bag and you bring it to the table during the
Mm,
interview.
yeah.
If you're not like, let me think for the first time about it. No, no, no. Interview is not the first time to think about it, because you know in the job description what are the requirements. So if they are asking for someone that can work in different time zones, think if you have experience working in different time zones and which were the issues you had to deal with and how you overcame those deals, and have that fresh in your brain. And then if the question happened, you know what to answer. So yeah, I could talk more about it. I also love to talk about interview preparation, but some tips here from my side.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no. Thank you so much. And one final question on your, on your coaching program that you have is how to network to build a good career. Like how to network.
Networking. You know the problem with that? Like the word networking, I think it was misused so many times. And people normally, when they talk to me, they're like, oh, I hate networking. It doesn't work for me. I'm tired of networking. Oh, I have done that my whole life and never worked. So a lot of people have a negative experience with networking. So they are very much like, I don't want to do that. Doesn't work for me or whatever. So first we need to understand that there was a misuse of these words. So let's just like breathe and try to see network from a different perspective, because it can be extremely helpful to you as a job seeker. So first, don't connect with this negative impression. It never worked for me. I tried already. I've been networking and I have no result. Maybe you're not doing things right. So the problem is not the
Mm.
network, it's how you're doing that. um, I always like to mention that probably everyone had a job in the past that that job came through networking, right? Someone that you knew from school, from the university, your cousin that knew someone in that company, a friend that was working there and said, hey, just send me your resume. They're looking for someone. So networking is something very effective to land jobs. And in the remote work environment, Sagar, is the same thing. But if you don't have a network into the remote work environment, of course, that network will never help you because you don't have it. You don't have it, so you
Mm.
need to create it. And if you are, let's imagine you're 40, 30 years old, you have a network for office positions in your city, in your country. But when you open up your job search for global, for remote companies, for a position in a company that is another continent, you need to create a different network because the one you have is limited geographically, right? So it won't help you in the other things. So you probably need to create a new network with people working remotely, the industry that you want to go for, the kind of remote company you're going for. So understand that you might need to actively work on a new network before you start seeing results. So this is one comment. And then there are different levels of networks. So I like to divide it in three levels. So the first level of network is the people that know you already, your former boss from your previous job, people who worked with you in that other company, the people who did that MBA, that master with you. So people who knows your friends, your family. This is
Mhm.
first level of network. We should never
Yeah.
ignore that because they know you already. They trust you. They probably will be very okay, even happy to help you. So share with those people that know you that you're open for a remote job, that you want to make a career transition. Sometimes we don't share that because, or we feel ashamed, as I mentioned before, right? Or at this age, I should know what to do with my career. Stop being ashamed and share with people that know you already, that trust you, because a lot of jobs happen because someone that knows you referred you and mentioned your name and all of that. So this is the first level of network, the people that knows you already. Make the most of it. Second level of networking is the ones that you will proactively connect with. And if you're searching for a remote job, my suggestion is that you connect with people who work remotely in the companies you want to work remotely in the companies you want to work for, in the departments that you want to work for. So basically, people doing the same job that you want to do, like the same level that you are, or one step above, the hiring manager, the one that will decide between you or the other candidate. Those are the key people that you should proactively go and network with. But why is that, Juliana? Well, because they will decide who they want to hire. They if they know you already, they might like you, they might trust you, so that can speed up the different steps in the recruitment process. In a conversation can be an informal interview, right? It was not formal job interview, but because of that conversation, the manager liked you, and then he said, that happens with some of my clients, an informal conversation via Zoom, via chat on LinkedIn, whatever. And then the manager said, oh, can you send me your resume? I'm going to forward that to HR. And then the person ended up having an interview with HR without applying for the job. So through network, but it was an intentional networking because he was not talking to anyone random person. It was the hiring manager in that department, in that remote company, the person wanted to work. So this is the second level of networking. When you go proactively and you connect with people, key people in the industry, the companies you want to work for in your department. And the third level of networking is when you start attracting people to you. the right people, headhunters, recruiters, managers, they come talk to you. How does it happen? LinkedIn is the main way that it happens, right? People can find your profile, they can search for some keywords, they see you active, they see you producing content. I'm connecting everything that you asked before, right? You produce a content that is relevant, that shows your expertise, and then people start paying attention to you. They start following you. They send you a connection request. They want to know more about you. So LinkedIn is a great way to do that with your content creation, with the right keywords in your profile, with yeah, you're just connecting with people, and then the you are connected at some point. They come back to you and they say, well, we connected, we never spoke, but I have been following you. It happens to me a lot. I've been following you for 6 months, and now I want your help to land a job or whatever. So this is the third level of network, when you optimize your profile, your resume, your social media, your social media presence in general. If you have a portfolio, also if you have a website, all of that is included in a way that you are more searchable. People can find you more, and then they start coming. That's what happened, for example, when headhunters approach you on LinkedIn and they say, hey, I'm recruiting for this position. Your profile seems to be good. Are you interested? Position was not posted. You didn't know about it. You didn't apply for the job, but they found you and they came to you. This is amazing. It's kind of a passive way. It's not passive because you did your homework before. You optimize all your social media presence, but at some point it starts bringing the result. So about network, take care about those three levels. The first level, people that you know already. Second level, you intentionally go for the ones that you want to connect with. And third level, you optimize your social media presence. So people start coming to you with possible job offers, collaboration, freelancer gigs, and all of that.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Juliana, for explaining us in detail on the three different layers of connections and how each one of them work and how to leverage each of them. One final question I have for you, and that is related to you, Juliana, is that I mean you have 15 years of rich experience. What inspired you to take up a path of distributed working or remote working? Like what inspired you?
The funny thing about it, I didn't choose to work remotely when I started working remotely. Like when I just started, that was 1st of January 2014. It's going to be 10 years, January next year.
Wow,
There were
congratulations.
some internal changes. Yeah, almost 10 years. There were some
Yeah.
internal changes in the company I was working for. There were some layoffs. And then my manager at the time told me, like, you have two options, or we're going to fire you, or you're going to change your contract and work for another company in the group, but then you cannot come to the office anymore because that company was located in another city. And I was like, okay, whatever. So where I'm gonna work from? And my boss at the time said at home. I was like, at home? That was back in 2013. People were not talking about remote work as of today, right? At least not in my environment. So I was like, I don't know if this is gonna work, but the other option is to lose my job. So let's give it a try. So I didn't choose it at the very beginning, but very easily once I started, I not only got used to it, I started loving it. The flexibility, the comfort, the possibility of choosing with whom I want to spend my time, and the productivity also that I was getting, and all of that. So very easily I got used to it. And then I went for more, right? I was working from home. Then I started making, traveling from time to time and working from different places. And then after 6 years, I was like, yeah, I want to start traveling more. So I started thinking about other ways to work from everywhere in the world and have even more flexibility. So I went from working from home only to travel from time to time, all of that as an employee of a remote company. Then I did some freelancer gigs. Then I started my own business. Then I quit my remote job. I combined the freelancer gigs and my business. Then I quit the freelancer gigs. So I went through a lot of states. It was not always the same. It was not always easy. There was a lot of work involved, but for me, the flexibility that I have now, it's priceless. So I'm always trying to find ways that suit me better, ways that I can help more people, can make a better impact, but also that I live my life the way I want to live. So yeah, I'm just experimenting and trying new things. So there's not only one way to work remotely. There are different ways you can combine, you can change. At some point, I had my remote job as a recruiter. I had two freelancer gigs, and I was starting my business. So I was doing like two freelancer gigs. So four things at the same time. I was working like more than 11 hours. So crazy things, but
Yeah,
it is possible. You can combine that in different ways. You know that, right? You know the
yeah,
story.
yeah. Yes, yes, yes. No, no, thank
Yeah,
you, thank you. I thank you for sharing, Juliana. I think we really covered a lot. You shared fantastic insights on remote job search, writing a cover letter, networking with people, and of course the resume, like how to prepare resume, some common mistakes one can avoid. I think this session was not less than a master class. So thank you, Juliana, for giving your valuable time. I have so many questions for you. I think we have to do one more live.
we
We'll
can do
connect
another
and
one.
discuss.
I,
Yes, yes,
I
I
have
would
a lot
love
to
to.
share. Let's schedule another
Yes,
one.
yes. Just before we end this conversation, if anyone would like to connect with you, follow you, or read the content, or learn more about you, how do they reach out to you?
So LinkedIn is a nice way. I'm very active on LinkedIn, so they can search for my name, Juliana Rabbi. You can follow me, send a connection request. I have some programs like group mentoring, also one-on-one mentoring. So I have different ways to help job seekers to land a remote job. If they want to know more, they are very welcome to send me a message. Just drop me a message. And I have a YouTube channel also with more than 100 videos about remote jobs, use of LinkedIn, interview preparation, resume, all of that we cover, but deeper. I have that, so it's also under my name, Juliana Rabbi. So just search for me online. But I think on LinkedIn and on Instagram also I'm there, but I think LinkedIn and YouTube, there is a lot of material available for people to learn from me for free.
Sure, sure. Thank you, Juliana, for sharing that. And have a wonderful week. And thank you, viewers, for watching this. I'm sure there is so much of learning, so many learnings Juliana has shared. I think if we implement all of that, it will really help in the search. So yeah, thank you so much. Yeah,
Thank you for the opportunity. Take care. Bye.
yeah.